suppliers, our contractors, or our what we receive from our customers. Frequent rework. They say, you change the duct from this side to that side. That looks so simple for the people outside. But to do that, what is the kind of engineering that needs to be done, rework that needs to be done? Nobody really, very few really bother about it. And there are so many other kinds of issues that keep going on. So end of the day, is the project manager who is handling an air conditioning project or a HVAC project or an MEP project, or for that matter, any big project, is he happy? The answer to that is most of the time they're stressed out. So this is the reality.
On a video, mic mute చేశాను.
So whenever you look at, I love Dilbert products. They reflect the kind of activity that happens actually in the field. So here is an employee coming back, the project manager coming back to the sponsor and says that, yeah, I finished the project on time and on budget. Right, next project you get less time and less money. This is what the sponsor will expect, will ask. Because it is very simple. You have learned now the art of doing a project on time and on budget. Naturally, the reward for good work is more work. And less time and less money, less budget for that. This is what happens even in the real time. Now let us look at what is a project. There is an organization called PMI, Project Management Institute. It produces, a project management book of knowledge or body of knowledge, which is called PMBOK. And according to that PMBOK, project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product or service. There are some few categories that are very, very important and essential. It is temporary, which means that it has got a start and an end. It is unique. That means, even if you're doing the same project once again, it is still different because the timelines are different. It has got a different start date and end date. And even the BOQ is different, but you're doing it at a different location. And what does it do? It brings about some change. This is one of the most important things about a project. There are some objectives that you are going to meet by doing particular project. This is what it means that, it brings about certain change. And last but not least, it has unknown elements, which therefore creates risk. Risk is part of the project. If there is no risk, then it is not called a project. So what is so challenging now for a project manager? Project manager has to deal with all these things, has to deal with the change, has to deal with the risk, has to deal with different resources, and more importantly, the cost, the budget, and all the things. So in effect, if you really look at why do projects fail, it's because the organization complexity. A few firms reported higher costs, more management difficulty, and low personnel utilization. In an organization doing multiple projects at the same time, many people are shared across, many resources are shared across different projects. When you are sharing across different projects, they have different challenges, they have different expectations, they have different processes to be followed, and sharing is not so easy. So it becomes, the people or the resources that are working, the utilization becomes one of the biggest challenges. Next is poor accountability if authority is not given. This is one major cause of failures, because a lot of organizations start the projects and they think that, since they have a project manager who is very experienced, the projects can go automatically by itself. Yes, the project manager can, work to make the project successful, but the entire team which is working along with the project manager need to work in cohesion. There are many interfaces that work along with the project, they also need to work in totality. Right? Excuse me. For example, if you are doing an air conditioning project, we are doing an air conditioning project for, let us say, for a big mall. What are the different agencies that you need to work out? The civil, the plumbing department, the firefighting department, the false ceiling, electrical. There are so many other departments. There are so many other people who will be working along with you. So you have to coordinate with multiple people at multiple layers. So unless you have the right kind of accountability, right kind of authority, the executing a project is very, very difficult. So that's what those are some of the reasons. Some pitfalls we can list down, like unclear objectives. They don't know what exactly they are supposed to do. They just at the end, majority of the times, a project engineer is asked to go to the site. What he will have at the maximum, he will be given a site location and contact phone number of the contact person of the at the site. That's all. Nothing more than that. And he has to go there and figure out what is the project all about. Most of the times, okay, it is air conditioning project. We have ducting, we have piping, we have chillers. But what exactly is the objective of the entire project? Where are we with respect to that? Who is the coordination? What are the different aspects of the project are not really known. This is, a major drawback I feel, which is plaguing our industry at this point of time. Lack of senior management support. This is one important area I would certainly like to bring all of your attention to. The senior management need to get involved, at least at the beginning of the project, during the planning stage, understand what are the total requirements, what are the expectations of the customer, and also during the project execution, whether the project is executed as per the contract requirements, as per the customer expectations, and as per the PMC's expectations and their own standards. If that is not done, you just leave it to a junior engineer or a junior team to handle by itself. Then by the time you realize that the project went wrong somewhere, you pay a heavy cost to rework. Inadequate funding. I need not talk about this because coming 6 months or 8 months, we are going to face this problem in a bigger magnitude. Change in business priorities. Projects, we have seen a lot of projects start with a bang. There will be a lot of movement in the beginning, but as the project starts, they slow down drastically and dramatically, and after that, the same kind of momentum is lost. Original assumptions are ineffective teams. Teams are, the teams keep changing. This is something that, is very, very dangerous. Lack of effective communication processes. This is one, it's always a surprise to me. The communication modes, methods, channels have increased drastically over the period of time, but the communication has not increased. Communication is still at the very lowest web. Today, you can communicate through many means, but unfortunately, the communication is not really effective. No proper training. This is one area again where I always feel there is a dilemma for the organization, whether to train my resources or not. If I train, what will happen if they leave the organization? So one of the things that I always remember, I think it was Wipro's Premji who said, "What if they stay back? If you don't train and they are not very knowledgeable, and if they stay back, the kind of impact on the organization will be much higher compared to they getting trained and still you lose them." So think about it. So how to manage a project? Beautiful. We now looked at what is a project, what are the difficulties that we faced, and we also understood that it is both an art and science. Now let us spend a few minutes on how to manage a project. Fortunately or unfortunately, most of our HVAC projects are, they fall under the category of contracts. contracts. Today, because of the size of the projects, because of the size of the organizations, contracts are being handled by different individual departments, and unfortunately, the collaboration between different may I request everybody to keep the phone, your session on silent mode, please. Mute, please. Endraji, Gotwal. Thank you. So, yeah, there are multiple departments that are working on a project, and each department has its own KRAs and KPAs. In the process, what is happening is the collaboration between different departments is missing. The objective of a project as a whole is missing. We are dividing it into small pieces. Okay, that is important for executing the project well. But end of the day, customer is not going to look at your individual department. They are going to look at the entire project as a whole. We cannot just go and say, okay, boss, this is a problem of my planning department, or this is planning of my inventory department, or this is my planning the problem of my logistics department, or I didn't get information from my ACM. This cannot happen like that. We need to have a proper understanding of the total requirements of the project, and that needs to be understood, and there should be a ownership. You may ask, there is a project manager, that is his responsibility. Yes, that is his responsibility. But how much of support he gets from individual different silos in the organization is what I'm talking about. Now, establishing clear and achievable objectives. This is one major important thing, not only from, see, again here, I would say that, we have still not matured, the Indian industry has not matured very, very well in this particular activity. Meaning, there is still, a customer and a contractor kind of a relationship. Not that, both of us are working for the same project. I may be a customer and you are a contractor, fair enough. That's, as far as the contract is concerned, yes, we are right. But as a project, this is one single project. We are all working on the same project. As a customer, it is my responsibility to ensure that I give you the proper working conditions, proper working space, clear all your issues and challenges that you have, and ensure that I get the best out of you. But it is not like that. In many organizations I've seen, this is in your scope, so you have to get it. See, for example, I take a small example of, let us say, scaffolding. Scaffolding is a one area. And for a contractor to get the scaffolding, for a small application or for a half day or 1 day, then, it becomes a challenge, and then he spends the 3 or 4 days. The customer might be having the scaffolding at his place, and which is lying idle also, but still they are not ready to spare it or loan it or even charge for it. But because, it is not in their scope, it is in the scope of the contractor. Now, what will happen because of that? The project gets delayed. Because the contractor is looking for saving cost, or, trying to combine it with some other thing, or some whatever that might be. It may be valid reason also. But still, the project is suffering because of small act of support from each other. So this is where, and there is another kind of example. The contractor knows that the ducting routing is changed and the insulation is not done, and unless that is done, I will not be able to work. So, but still he will not go and alert the customer. Yes, until I get this front, I will not be able to work. Because he knows that, if he tells it, then if they get that work to be started, so immediately it has to be started, so he won't get more time. So these are all some of the things that we need to keep aside our individual activities and work together as simple as one project. And in the project, there is nobody like, you are a contractor, you are a subcontractor or anything. We are all one single project team. Hope I make myself clear on this. Balancing the competing demands for quality, scope, time, and cost. Again, this is very surprising to me even today. Most of our projects get decided on the cost basis. Whether we like it or not, that is what it is. End of the day, majority of the contracts are finalized on the cost basis. Very little, is given to the quality aspect of it or the time aspect of it. Yes, there are very good specifications, excellent technical specifications, all that is done, and we have submittals, technical submittals written, and everything is there. But then, end of the day, we still only look for what is the lowest cost. I'm not saying that is wrong. I'm only saying that, look at cost along with the time. Look at cost along with the scope. Look at cost along with the quality that you need. And look at that along with this kind of supervision that you require at site. If you don't look at any of these things, then you are only giving a space for your contractor to look for some shortcuts where he can save some money. Fine. Adapting the specifications, plans, and approach to the different concerns and expectations of various stakeholders. This is another important area we will discuss as we go along. So now let us be more specific on how do we handle HVAC projects. Contracts management is going to be one of the biggest things for the highest priority for our projects. Contracts management today, how much knowledge that the project manager has about the contract manager, is something that I will leave it to the individual organizations to assess. They have to assess, ensure that the project managers, yes, they need the domain knowledge, domain expertise, but more than the domain expertise today, for a project manager, the contract management exposure and the knowledge is very, very essential. Then the designs and drawings. This is an area where we have improved technologically, but are we, really good in terms of executing it? I still have my own, reservations about it. Meaning, the designs are there, the drawings are done, but how accurate are they? As a contractor, it is our responsibility to go and verify each and every site, each and every location for its heights, for its thickness, and whatever the validity of the drawing. Because majority of the drawings are done and the AutoCAD and in the comfort of an air-conditioned space. So there are definitely bound to be, a lot of changes that are going to happen. And I have seen many times myself, the version that you have in your office is very different from the version that is given to the contractor, the civil contractor for execution, and the version that, that is available with an architect or with the PMC is very different. And for that matter, the version you give it to your own subcontractor or your project engineer is, it could be different. So in such cases, we are only going to land up in deep trouble. So please verify the drawings, and if there is requirement, if there is anything that you need to do, if there is something that you can change it right up front. Procurement and vendor management. This is an area where, definitely the technology has improved our ability to understand the right price for the right product. But at the same time, I see that, there is a lot of effort in payment terms and other activities that are changing. Vendor management, vendors or suppliers are also part of your project. Let us remember this particular point. They are not external to the project. They are part of your project. Unless they supply on time, unless they supply the right quality material at the right time with the right specifications, your project is going to get delayed. So treat them in that manner, honor your commitments, whatever you have given, you have promised at the time of your contract or a PO or work order with the vendors. Then please ensure that they are honored accordingly. Subcontracting. Subcontracting is another major challenge that we have, the HVAC or MEP has, and there are different subcontractors that work for us, like piping, for ducting, for insulation, for electrical. There are so many other things that we have subcontractors. And in this time, particularly in the time of COVID, they will be very hard pressed for money. They'll be hard pressed. They are locked out at different locations. Please give them a kind of comfort at least during this period. Give them take care of them during this period. And if they require some kind of a loan or some challenge if they are facing with respect to cash flow, please help them right now, so that when you help them now and take care of them today, I'm sure that they will come back and they will support you once the situation improves. They are our backbone, and let us handle them carefully. Quality and safety. Safety, and I'm very happy to see that safety aspect has come in a big way into our industry, but still it is not enough. The project manager, the entire team has to follow the safety guidelines first, have the safety equipment, PPEs, and some posters everywhere, and do not allow any contractor, any subcontractor to violate. Yes, it may delay the project for a while. Fair enough. Take that beating for some time. And I am sure that will help you, and that will help the project get completed on the budget, on time, and without any loss of life or without any unfortunate incidents. Quality. I know that today we are doing a lot of activities with respect to quality. We are trying to get the right kind of material. There are a lot of inspection that is happening. I would focus more on quality assurance, not just quality control. Quality assurance means where are the places of the quality is need to be identified, and ensure that the specifications are tight, specific requirements are given and identified, and you have done all whatever the quality inspection or tools that are required to be used to measure them even at site. They have to be done very properly and carefully. Measurement. The measurement is one area where particularly it is more important for the projects because of the size that we have. In my opinion is we have the AutoCAD drawings and we have the practical. We have the as-built drawings. We can do the measurements as much as possible with this. Do the measurement as and when the erection is going on, as and when the material is received. Don't delay it until the end of the project and then start taking measurement. At that time, nobody has interest and people will lose the right measurement. So please do the measurement as and when the activity happens, record it at that time itself. Take the signatures. If the signatures are not there, somebody is not coming to take the measurement with you, it should be deemed as measured and accepted. Because today we have more accurate drawings that are available and more accurate measurement systems that are available. We don't need really, somebody going and taking the physical measurements. If you look at ducting, it is a factory fabricated and we are getting all the proper measurements. If it is looking at the piping, it is there in the measurements. And insulation material, we know what is the kind of material that is coming in. So in my opinion that, we need to have a measurement system that is more advanced and accurate. At the same time, it is on time. Resource management. Resource management is one of the most important thing that we need to manage. A lot of organizations have gone down or lost a lot of money because they supply as per the bill of quantities, whatever is given to them, rather than what is the design quantity. So BOQ is at the time of contract, whatever the BOQ that was given, that is more mainly as just for information and it should give only an estimate. Whereas the real quantity should be come out after the designs are frozen, after your technical submittals are given and approved. At that time, you should take the measurements and get that as your quantities identified. That is, the quantity takeoffs have to be taken, and that should be the inventory that you are maintaining at site or to be dispatched, not the quantity as per the bill of quantity. So this is something that we need to really be very careful. And at site also, you should bring only material what is that you are going to consume within the next 10 to 15 days, except for the capital items or the high side equipment. Now, regulatory activities, yes, there is a lot of conformance requirements for all the project managers. We have the projects. We need to have a separate, if required, an outside agency or internally maintain one agency, which will ensure that regulatory activities are taken care of. I hope I'm making sense and going not very fast.
Perfectly fine, sir. Perfectly fine.
Thank you. I will, I love this particular statement by O. Brosha. He says, project management is all about applying common sense with uncommon discipline. I'll repeat. Project management is all about applying common sense with uncommon discipline. Again, this is what we discussed in the beginning. I said that it is an art and science. What is an art? Art is applying common sense. And what is science? Uncommon discipline. Uncommon discipline, following the process systematically, ensuring that the data is collected at the appropriate time, and you are following the process systematically without any deviation. So project management is all about applying common sense. But recently somebody was telling, but common sense is not so common. Yeah, that is so common. It is not so common, but I feel that everyone is blessed with common sense, and it is just that we don't use it frequently. And I'm sure that in the times like this, when the adversity strikes us, we start using it more and more, and I am more confident that we'll have more of it as we go forward. I'll take a few minutes for the project processes, explaining a little bit about the science of the project management. Projects are composed of processes. A project is a series of actions bringing about a result. What is a process? A process is a series of actions bringing about certain objective or an outcome or a result. Project processes generally fall into one of these two major categories: project management processes or product-oriented processes. So we are not going to discuss about product-oriented processes here. We will more focus on the project management processes here, so which describe, organize, and complete the work of a project. These are applicable to most of the projects most of the time. Again, I keep referring back to Project Management Institute, that is PMI, and the PMBOK, Project Management Body of Knowledge. It says that there are 5 different processes. That if you can focus on these 5 different processes, this your success rate or the probability of your success will be very high. So what are those 5 processes? Initiating process, planning process, executing process, controlling process, and closing process. I'll repeat. Initiating process, planning process, executing process, controlling process, and closing process. So these are the 5 processes that are very, very important. They look very, very simple, and each of these process, PMBOK, defines what are the responsibilities in each of these process phase or state, and what are the tools that are available for us to use, what are the outcomes or expected out of each of these processes. Initiating process. Project initiation is done at the beginning of the project, which means that you are now received a project PO, purchase order, or a work order, and you have the scope already defined. So you identify a project manager for this particular project. That is the first thing. And you have also identified what is going to be, the high level scope of work is given, the high level team, the resources, whatever that are going to be there, what is your project cost is also there at an estimated level. All these are available, and you also look at what are the risks of doing this project. Have we done this project earlier? What were the lessons learned from this project earlier? What kind of issues that we can face, if we have done this project earlier? What are the challenges that we face during that period? And what about the customer's experience about this project? Who are the resources who have got the experience to handle this kind of a project? What kind of resources that we need to execute this kind of a project? All these things, you start looking at it at a very high level, and then the project manager is identified during this project, and he gets a go ahead, or she gets a go ahead to execute this project. That is called your project initiation. Now the second process is the project planning. In my opinion, if we do the project planning effectively, spend maximum amount of time on planning, then we are only increasing our chances of executing the project without rework. So planning in my opinion, is very, very essential for the project. So what do we do in the planning phase? We'll discuss in the next few slides. Executing process. Once the plan is done, then we have to start executing it. Material will start flowing into the project. We start with looking at identifying the project site, maybe setting up some project site, setting up the system there, and all the identifying the space for the storage and all these stuff, are building up some space for the contractors to stay. All these things we start working on it, and after that we start executing the process, executing the project. We keep reporting it in the controlling process. In the controlling process, we keep reporting what is happening, and also whether it is as per the plan or not. We will look at it and we will verify it, right? Then if there is any change or any issue, then we go back to process. We go back to planning process or executing again. This is a loop that we'll have here, because if there is any deviation, either with respect to scope, whether with respect to time, or with respect to material non-availability or resource non-availability, or because of some phase change, or because of either internal or external reasons, if there are any changes that are happening, then you need to go back and redo the planning process. And once the project is completed, then the closing process is equally important. We do both financial closing, technical closing. We do it, and in the technical closing, we also record the learnings that we have, what went right, what went wrong, and what we can continue, what are the best practices that we followed, what are the different risks that we got, and how we are able to achieve these things. Then will be on that. Well, again, there are 9 different knowledge areas according to PM Bach. Once again, we mainly focus on the scope management, time management, and cost management most of the times. But as a project manager, I strongly recommend that we focus on the remaining things as well, particularly the procurement management, the communication management, cost management, risk management, human resource management, integration management, and last but not least, the stakeholder management. These have become very, very critical in the current context of executing projects. And it is not just managing only the cost, or it is not just completing the project somehow on time. No, that is not what it is. Okay, so let us focus on, as a project manager today, a lot of requirement is there on the integration management. You're going to work with different agencies and have to work closely, collaborate closely with different teams you have to work out. Similarly, the procurement management, there are lots of things that need to come on time and at the right time, with the right quantity, with the right specification. So any change, any small change later will lead to a big delay in the entire project. So communication management, I have already told you about it, and we'll see a little bit again in the coming slides as well. I'll just, take a few minutes on the different project phases and what are the different activities and deliverables, again, for the sake of a few people who might be doing the project for the first time. I'll start with project initiating process. So this is the first phase that we discussed about. The project is kicked off. You have a kickoff meeting, and the minutes of meeting is shared across to all the stakeholders. Here, the project if there is a project a PMC there, the PMC will invite all the stakeholders and do the kickoff meeting. However, I also strongly recommend within the organization you have a project kickoff meeting. You discuss, you involve your sales team, your procurement team, your finance team, and your planning team, designing team, and understand the whole activities here. So kickoff meeting is very important even internally. So the purpose of internal kickoff meeting is very different from the kickoff meeting that happens at the project site. So please don't get confused between these two. Both are important, both need to happen. The first one we at site is important for us, who are we going to collaborate with, what is the total time given to us, and whether there are any changes from the contract that we got versus what is being explained to us during the initiating phase. So that is the kickoff phase, that is at the site. But when it comes to us at the project office, internally, internal kickoff meeting will help us to align all the resources to execute the project successfully. Now, knowledge repository verified and construction drawings are taken out. Whatever are the construction drawings are given by the architect, by the PMCs or the customer, we need to go to the site, verify them specifically, ensure that the measurements are there accurately, and you have all the drawings, sectional drawings are also available, all the where the headers are available, and also the routing of the piping, how you are going to take the routing, what through which shafts you are taking, all these things should be planned much ahead. Otherwise, what will happen, you spend a lot of time, you waste a lot of time redoing the drawings, and I know that there are many projects which get delayed. Out of the 4 months of the project, the drawings itself take 2 to 3 months, so which is totally of a complete waste of time for everybody. So spend a little bit more time here, understand the complete requirements, list it down that, okay, these are your requirements, then go back and say, okay, this is what you have asked me, this is what I'm giving it to you, so that is what we are going to give. So that's very important. Next is key risks identified, risk matrix, project team details. What are the different risks that we had handling this kind of a project or a similar project? How do we go about it? All that is, discussed during the risk matrix. Key stakeholders involved are informed, and communication guidelines, EHS guidelines, environment, health and safety guidelines are very essential. Please don't underestimate this. And we lost so many man hours because of some small process. Each organization, each customer will have different expectations, different requirements of EHS to be followed at sites. Please understand them much before, plan your resources accordingly, they are trained accordingly, and when they reach the site, you meet all the requirements at once. Because EHS safety, there is nobody going to give you any deviation or approve any deviation with respect to this, and you lose so many man hours. And this is something that from the experience I'm telling you. Now, budget scope timelines are frozen. Again, in our parlance, there is nothing like frozen. Everything is very dynamic. Majority of the time, they keep changing. So please be more realistic. Please don't be so optimistic about times,
Okay, sir.
and be realistic. That's all I can say at this point of time. Hope you understood what I mean.
What is
So
the-
BOQ quality guidelines. What are the different quality guidelines, both in terms of product, in terms of process? Please understand what are the measurement that you have to have for the quality guidelines, and also for the measurement practices. What kind of measurement that you have accepted as per the contract, as per the standards? Please have it. List it down. Ensure that everybody is on the same page. That is more important. Excuse me. So the next phase. Before we go on to the next phase, that is planning phase, just want to reflect on the Parkinson's law. What is Parkinson's law? Work expands to the fill the time available, and time expands to work available. That is a corollary to that. So any project without an established due date will take an infinite amount of time. So planning becomes a very, very important activity. So welcome to the planning phase, project planning phase. This is where I strongly believe that, majority of the project managers, the technical managers, they think that they know everything. This is something, yes, they may be knowing from the domain perspective. They may be knowing they may have the experience, no denial of it. But what they need to also understand is, in a given project, understanding the entire project process from the customer perspective and the expectations of the project from each phase is very, very important. And that is where, a lot of rework can be avoided. Rework means, not necessarily you go and do the ducting, remove it, replace the ducting. No, that is one part of the rework. But if you send a mail, if you ask for approval, that comes back to you asking for some more clarification, that is rework. Obviously rework. Or you send a mail asking for information and you don't ask for complete information, then they will ask another question. You reply to back. This is again rework. So rework is not just in terms of doing the physical work. Rework can be spending time on the same work again and again. Please understand this. If you can reduce your rework by 20% or 30%, your projects will be successful more than 40%. Please take it from me. This is a proven survey details. This is what it is. Most of the times, at least 40% of our time goes in searching or in rework. So if you can reduce this, your productivity is increased automatically. So technical submittals, deviations, please understand what is the format that the consultant is looking for, the PMC is looking for, what are the details that are expected, understand from your supplier, get all the details, do the proper due diligence, and then submit it in one shot so that the drawings get approved, the material technical submittals get approved. If there are any deviation, that gets approved in one shot. If you think that it is going up and down for no reason, then call for a small meeting where you resolve this along with the customer once for all, rather than just getting time or gaining time by sending mails up and down. So communication plan and escalation matrix, these are written in the beginning, but hardly I see them being followed up. Every time if you call up the highest level, every time, that means you are not following the process properly. You have lost an opportunity to build a relationship with the entire team. So don't escalate it unless it is necessary. Just escalating will not solve the problems. Please understand this as well. Now, ducting, piping, plant room drawings, again, these are going to be very, very critical. Take the approved submittals, physically measure it before putting it on the paper, take the measurement takeoff, and supply the material only as per the measurement takeoff. Quality planning, we have seen revised schedule, revised budget, quality assurance plan, procurement plan, revised plan, resource requirement, and risk management plan. Resource requirement, this is something that don't underestimate it. These days, for every activity, the customer's expectation is that there is a supervisor looking at every activity of the project. So please understand the requirements and accordingly plan for it. Now, once the scope is available, define the activities, sequence the activities, estimate the resources, estimate the duration, and develop a schedule. So this is a Gantt chart divided, our work breakdown structure given using an MS project. Project Libre is another tool which is available for us, which we can use very well. Project Libre, and Project Libre is unlicensed open source, so you can as well use it. It may not have as many features as MS Project, but certainly it also has a few things that you can work out. My strong recommendation to all the project people who are executing projects or in any of the projects, learn MS Project during this lockdown time. You have ample time now, learn MS Project. Another request from my side is, fortunately or unfortunately, thanks to Bill Gates, all of us are using Excel sheets. But how much of Excel sheet that we are using? I would say not more than 10 to 15% of the capabilities of the Excel sheets. Excel sheets can do a lot many things. Please use this lockdown period to improve your Excel working efficiency. Excel has a lot of features, lot of options that we don't use normally. Now go to YouTube, go to any training material that is available, learn Excel sheets. In the Excel itself, you can make the Gantt chart as well. Now we get into an execution phase, and this is what we hear most of the time. When we get into the execution phase, Valley, are you done with your project? No, I'll be done next week. You said next week for 7 weeks in a row. What makes you think I'm going to believe this time? The first 6 times. So that means, you have been telling, we keep repeating a different same kind of problems, or we may change even sometimes problems, but the delay is delayed. And I don't know, sometimes I get really surprised for the lack of effort to complete the project. And I strongly feel there is unless the project management team or the project manager is strict, the general tendency is, ठीक है चलेगा देख लेते हैं, let it happen kind of an attitude. That attitude is, I think, we need to really work on it. And as a responsible project team member, as soon as the project activity given to us is completed, we should go back and repeat. Okay, if that is not getting completed on time, or if we are having a challenges, it is important that we go look at, we go in and talk to the right person and seek clarification, or seek, extended time for getting the completion, and ensure that it is communicated to all the people appropriately. Just keeping it with yourself until somebody asks you will not help the project. It will only delay the project, and it will only hurt the entire project, and it will hurt the reputation of you as an individual, your own capability as an individual, and also the organization capability. So please be honest. It's okay. It doesn't matter, if there is something wrong, so be it. 70% of the projects go wrong anyway. So don't worry about it. If there is an issue, challenge you are facing, so be it. Go and tell. Let the manager or let somebody who is authorized to take care or to take a decision to overcome that problem, rather than delaying it. And then, at the end of the day, you are left with no other option but to accept mediocre job. So don't accept mediocre job. Now, execution process. So when the execution process, I think I don't need to spend more time here, because we are experts in execution. We somehow execute it and complete in time. So drawings are released for the construction. Ensure that the drawings versions are same at all places. This is my sincere, humble request. Everybody here, please listen carefully. All the versions should be same. If there is any change in the version, please ensure that you remove all the previous versions of the drawings at the sides and have only one version, which is the latest version. Now, site readiness, water, power setup, all these things, anyway, we do it. And material delivery notes and all this, there are a lot of tools available, ERP systems available today to handle these kinds of things. And we have anyway GST, which will ban, which is mandated online transactions anyway. So I don't need to worry about it right now. Quality assurance, quality control, my humble request once again, please don't underestimate this. Please have an exclusive team within your organization. Whether the customer is asked for it or not, these are implied needs of the customer, and your reputation is at stake. It is much costlier, much more expensive than spending some amount for the cost of quality. Please do understand this and implement this. Now, perfection is achieved not when there is nothing more to add, but when there is nothing left to take away. When the work is given to you, please complete it and hand it over back to the next role, whoever is going to use your work. Otherwise, what happens is, if you look for perfection, don't hand it over to the next person in the project, then, projects get delayed and it unnecessarily loses its momentum. We are very good in execution, but we are very poor in monitoring is what, I keep hearing from various sources every time. Sometimes it appears to me also true. We don't write down what are the minutes of meeting for the last time, and we don't start with the minutes of meeting when we are starting our next project, next meeting. Every meeting when you start, please remember this. I'm telling you once again. Whenever you start a meeting along with all the stakeholders, take out the earlier minutes of meeting. Take out the earlier, whatever the action item that you have listed down. Where follow up from there onwards. Then once you start doing it every time systematically, then the project will executed on time without any problem. The problem is when things are going right, we don't monitor them. We think, okay, it is going. Why do I need to have meeting? Meetings are waste of time for most of us. Meetings are, everybody is there, okay, and we come to the meeting without any preparation, without any, update on the project, and these kinds of things will not work out. Please ensure that, when you go to a meeting, go with a proper information about the project. Look at, the minutes of meeting, whichever you had earlier. Look at what are the action items that you were supposed to do. Look at the action items which were dependent for you to complete your work, whether they are completed or not. And if they are not completed, what is the kind of action you have taken to inform the right people at the right time. If you do this monitoring carefully and properly, I'm sure that, the project will go on, smoothly. But again, one reason or one alibi that I keep hearing is that the project payment, we don't receive it on time, and hence, the project is getting delayed, and hence, we are also not answerable, we are not responsible. This is, yes, I also saw that, many times the customer delays the payments, and if you don't honor your own commitments, definitely you can't expect the other person to honor their commitments. So it is a, it's a win-win situation. Don't make it as lose-lose situation. Graham's law says if they know nothing of what you are doing, they suspect you are doing nothing. Communicate, communicate, and communicate. Proactively communicate. If they know nothing of what you are doing, they suspect you are doing nothing. Many people have the idea of the, have the habit. Let him ask, why should I go and tell? I will tell only when somebody asks me. This attitude is not really good. You are, as a project team member, it is your responsibility as soon as you complete an activity or a task is completed or a task is given to you, you should update either on the portal which is there or to the team that is required in a manner that is expected out of you. So communication management, is very, very important. I strongly recommend once again to the organizations, to the project managers, as much as you spend time on your technical programs, technical training programs, please conduct communication management programs. This is where we are failing badly. even though technically a lot of people are very strong and they improve their skills, but they are not able to improve their communication skills, be it written, be it formal, be it verbal. Very important now is to improve the communication management. I really appreciate ISRE Calcutta chapter's initiative to conduct a project management session like this, which is equally important as much as your technical sessions. So I would recommend Amitava and Banerjee sir to please look into conducting sessions on communication management, professional communication management.
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
Thank you. Here, the closure phase, we are coming to the last phase, the final phase of the project closure. Project closure is equally important, as much as the project initiation phase or any of the other phases that we have seen till now. Project closure starts with, the testing of it, completed, and there is it's not a kickoff meeting, it's a final meeting, minutes of meeting. Knowledge repository is taken and financial resources released, financial closure, technical closure, contractual closure, all those are done. Snag list completion and testing. Snag list is one area which again I'm really surprised, The snag list goes on and on and on and on for 6 months, 8 months. Why the snag list should continue? I see the problem is, on either side. Problem is, at the moment they feel the cool air within the premises, they think that air conditioning project is completed. And, snag list is only for PMC or the consultant to list it down and, it will go on. No. We have to start writing down the snag list as and when the particular activity is completed, that time itself start writing down. Very few items only should be remaining during for the testing or after the testing. Snag list should not consist of more than 4 to 6 items. And that too, you have to have a specific timeline, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, and that should be closed. If you don't do this, then, the testing, balancing result, and this will continue forever. This is not fair. And everybody is released and nobody knows what is happening, nobody knows how it was installed or anything. Somebody else will come to complete the snag list. They don't have any idea of what is happening. And, the result is, again, a poor work. So rework is always a poor work. Remember this, simple. So lessons learned and document is very important that you update it and share the document. Never mind, we may have made a mistakes, and never mind to share even with the customer, even with the consultant, even with PMCs. That will only enhance your reputation as a fair contractor and fair organization and a good professional organization. Never mind, okay, mistakes do happen. We learn from the lesson and we are ready to work on the lessons learned. So this is something, I would strongly make it as a culture for the organization. And last but not least, celebration. We are so busy in our day-to-day activities, that we get so much sucked up into so many activities. Celebration was one of the most, desirable event, but rarely happens. So please do celebrate the project. And it's a team effort, not a single person's effort. Celebrate the team effort. Celebrate, in the pompous way or in the right way to ensure that everybody understand and each other support. It is like a Thanksgiving for everybody. So please spare time, and even you can even budget for this. So performance reports, there are different performance reports that are there. You list them down, what went right, what went wrong, and then, update your knowledge base. I'll spare a few minutes with your permission, Amitava, to just discuss about the role of a project manager. Project manager has basically 3-dimensional role he has to play. The 3-dimensional role is technical project management, leadership, strategic business management. My observation, my experience has been, majority of the project managers have come up on their roles right from a engineer trainee to a project manager. In the process, my only question, humble question to each one need to ask themselves is, in the process, did I learn anything more about my project management skills? Did I gain strategic and business management skills? If it is not, then you better now spend time, plan for it, learn. Is something, I'm always surprised that many individuals, they want the training to be given by the organizations. They want the training to be given, somebody else has to sponsor for them. Even to buy a book of, let us say, 300 rupees or 400 rupees, they will look for somebody else to buy and give it to them. I still don't understand this. Every month you blow off on booze or drinks or entertainment or so many things, but you don't allocate 500 rupees for your own benefit. Please think about this. Please stop and think. Can I not afford 500 rupees? I spend thousands of rupees on my new dresses or something, or spend for various activities. But can't I spend about 500 rupees or 1000 rupees to enhance my skills, to learn something new? I mean, I am always intrigued with this because a lot of times I find my organization doesn't promote me. They won't send me to the training. They won't. I don't know. So this, please understand. Then you have leadership. Leadership is again both an art and science. There are definitely a lot of tools that are available to enhance your skills as a science, but you have to have your own mindset improvement with respect to leadership. I strongly recommend read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and also very interesting books on management and leadership. So a PM project manager has to have a combination of all these things. So it is not simple. It is just because you got 15 years of experience in as an excellent service engineer or excellent air conditioning engineer, you need not become an excellent project manager unless you have worked on the other two dimensions. So a project manager has to play a role of a decision maker, a coach, facilitator, encourager, a power broker, disciplinarian, salesperson, and lot many roles that they play. After all, we are dealing with people. So I conclude my session with one last quote. Enthusiasm is at the bottom of all progress. With it, there is accomplishment. Without it, there are only alibis. This is what Henry Ford has said, and I strongly feel that without enthusiasm, you can achieve nothing. So be enthusiastic, be proud of what you are doing, and enjoy whatever you are doing, and I'm sure the world will be at your feet. Thank you, Kolkata chapter. Thank you, Amitava, and thanks to the entire CWC team, the president-elect, and the entire team of Kolkata, and my beloved RD, who is also here, KD Arasu sir. Thank you very much, all the people who joined, and I am ready to take a few questions now.
Thank you, Dr. Prasad. It was really something. I must thank Amitava for giving me this idea to come up with this type of a subject, because we have enough technicals in each day. I'm sure you would accept that, and Mr. Arasu would surely believe that. So we really wanted something of a different dimensions to it, and that is where your presentation was very important to us, because end of the day, whatever we learn, we got to execute it on the ground, and that's where the challenges really come across. So before getting on to the questions, I request you to kind of share your email ID so that maybe people can send you queries if required later.
Excuse me, can I speak?
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah, I am through. Art is up to.
Yes.
Okay. The program went well, very, very well, very informative. Thanks to Dr. RVSS Prasad as well as Sumojit Banerjee and Kolkata chapter. And in my 39 years experience, today I learn one more thing is the rework. It is a poor work. Also, it reduces as our standards also. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. RVSS Prasad. Thank you, Smojit Banerjee. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Your words are really gives a lot of motivation on this, and you're absolutely right. Sir. Rework. No, it was really a good presentation. So I open the now. Somebody is asking me for the PPT of this session. So
I have no problem. I will send it across to you. You can send it to anyone who wants it.
Sure, sir.
I don't know if there is anything secret about this. I would definitely love to share, whatever little I know. Because, I have my Talaiva's good dialogue, I will tell you. Known is a drop, unknown is an ocean.
Lovely.
Dr. Me too also.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Dr. Prasad.
Dr. Prasad, me too also. Send me.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we will forward.
Thank you.
We'll forward the PPT. Dr. Prasad, you can send it to either Amitabh or me or anybody. So it is okay with
Definitely.
us, and we will surely forward. So if there are any questions, we can have now. Else we'll close the session.
I have my mail ID and the phone number written there, and I'm sharing it still.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Doctor?
Yes, sir, I'm here. I will
Hello, sir.
Okay. Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
Okay, I got a question, Dr. Prasad. Let me ask you the question. There's a question from Mr. Salim Javed. You can hear me, Dr. Prasad, right?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. The question is, what are the major aspects where we can do cost cutting to reduce project budget?
First of all, I am allergic to the word cost cutting. You don't cut cost. You don't cut cost anytime. You should never cut cost. You can only revise your budgets. That is how I look at it. Now, how do you revise your budgets? Budgets are always dependent on your scope, your time, and your quality. So all these are necessary, and you have to look at where you want to compromise or where you want to reduce. If you change one dimension, the other three dimensions will certainly get affected. It is not that, I can go and I can get something which normally cost at 10,000 rupees. I'll just take an example. For example, okay, say I want to go and have a cup of tea, right? If I want to go have a cup of tea, I can go and have it on my roadside tea shop, or I can go to a 3-star hotel, or I can go to a 5-star hotel, or I can go to a restaurant. At each level, there is price difference, isn't it?
Correct.
So if I want to have only price is my criteria, then I have to choose my area where I have to go and get my tea. That's it.
Very true. Then Sarvana Bhavan is the best option.
That's it. But that if you go to Sarvana Bhavan and expect that you have to get a service like 5-star hotel, you can't.
Exactly.
So I hope it's clear. I could answer what he was asking for.
Yeah.
There is no method, to say that okay, you cut this, you cut that. No, it can't be done. You have to look at your project. You have to see what is this thing and then work on that.
Okay.
Right, sir. We'll take the next question.
Yeah. Next question. Anybody who's got a question, please unmute your mic.
Also, health is important, doctor.
Yeah.
Health is
There's a question from Mr. Samal Sutradhar, but I think you could not write it. Achha. What should be the basic steps of MEP project, Dr. Prasad?
Sir, whether it is HVAC project or MEP projects, both of them are very, very similar, except that, they change in the domain. The additional things that they will come is the domain. So the domain knowledge is very, very essential when you are talking about MEP in particular. the HVAC, the kind of the domain knowledge you require is slightly different from the domain knowledge of what you are getting the MEP project. However, I will strongly recommend that you use the same framework which I have explained till now and expand it to include all the other areas as well. Collaboration becomes very, very challenging, and the drawings, the design, the planning stage is definitely going to be more critical in an MEP project. And how do you utilize your shops, and how do you optimize the space that is given to you is is the expertise that you are looking at.
Right. Okay. Any other questions? I don't find any questions because I believe your entire presentation and thoughts were very, very okay. There's one question which is interesting one, sir. I must share this. Are you offering training for a project manager?
See, I can definitely do that. There is no issue about it. Yeah, I can.
So you got an alternative career also, Mr. Dr. Prasad. Now.
Yeah. Actually, I know. Actually, I do that. As you might have read, when you read it, I go and teach project management at many of the B schools here, business schools like University of Hyderabad, Central University, School of Management Studies, Narsimhanji Institute of Management Studies. So like that, I go and give a lot of training programs on project management at various colleges. So that's it's my alter ego.
Right. That was good. Right, sir. I don't find any other questions because I think your presentation was so easily understandable. People have really you've given a new aspect to life, I must say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Really thank the Calcutta chapter for giving me an opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, Amitabh, Amitabh, you're saying something.
No,
want that PPT actually from you.
I will share right away.
We'll get the people. No issues. Chill.
Okay, so I will share the mail ID.
No issues. We'll get that done. Not a problem. So, thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Prasad.
Thank you, Dr. Prasad. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Very much. Thank you.